I think having Rudy in the band gives it credibility because he was best friends with Randy, and he was on the first two albums. I mean, he's part of the classic lineup. So, and I like Jizzy Pearl as a singer. I've liked him ever since I heard Spinning Wheel from Love Hate. So I got no problem with it.
Do
Wrong
you think it would
spinning
be
wheel.
more legitimate if they recorded an album with Jizzy instead of leaving it with the other guy at the American Idol guy?
It would be more legitimate than the album they did with James Durbin. I mean,
That's his name. Thank you.
I like James as a singer, but that first album, Road Rage, was it was the drizzling green apple splatters.
Yeah.
Like the stuff they did with Dubrow in the 90s was so much better, like Terrified, or the album that came out after that, Down to the Bone. Like even Guilty Pleasures actually had some pretty good tracks on it. Yes, I am a genuine Quiet Riot fan, even though my experience having met them was completely less than satisfactory. In fact, it was downright heartbreaking.
Oh, man.
Tell me about it.
Yeah, tell us about it.
Well, Wayne's got to start the show.
It started. It's already on. We're on.
Go.
Welcome. We're talking about bands that don't have original members anymore. Go.
That counts for most of them.
I'm wearing a shirt right here. I'm wearing a shirt right here. Most of the original guys are actually back in the band now, so it doesn't matter.
R.I.P. Ingo.
Yeah, but they never stopped. But the difference is Halloween never stopped. They continued as a band. They continued creating music.
Yeah.
The only hiatus they had is the regular one people do now every 5 years or whatever it is. They make albums.
Yeah. Well, they had a little bit of a hiatus when they after Keeper of the Seven Keys Part 2 because of their record label. But then they finally released 2 albums. And the guys left or whatever. So hello, Catman. We were waiting for you. We knew you would be
Catman, what's up?
What up, Catman? Catman.
But like now, I mean, you got Charlie Benante and Zach Wilde with Pantera.
That's not Pantera to me.
Which I saw live, and I think that they do the songs justice.
Okay, but so
you can't be Pantera without the brothers. It's like
I don't call it Pantera. I don't call it Pantera.
That's what they're calling it, Pantera,
because that's
calling it. Yeah,
because that's what the fans know it as. I just call it Pantera Legacy because it's not like they're going to write any new music anytime soon.
We don't know.
So, Lou, what is the difference between Zach Wilde and Charlie Benante, Pantera, and a tribute band to Pantera?
I think having Phil and Rex in the band give it credibility.
All right, but Phil. I guess Phil was the creator of the music and melodies, but but
Phil is the voice of Pantera. If somebody else was doing it, it wouldn't work. They couldn't not have Phil ensemble there. Rex, it doesn't matter. He's a bass player, so you can have anybody fill in for him.
Well, Pantera.
Pantera was the 2 brothers.
Well, Rex was there from the Glam Terra days.
Yeah, he's been there forever. I know.
Oh, he's been there since the beginning, right, guys?
Yeah.
And I do recognize Terry Glaze's contributions to where Pantera came from, because they had to do that to get to the point, where they got Phil with power metal. That's a very loud dive bar you're in, Manny.
You're gonna have to tell him to lower his voice.
My dive bar. But I'm with Stan. I don't. I get why they call it Pantera. First of all, there's no box office draw. If they called it Glam Terror or those dudes that used to be in Pantera, whatever weird name, I get it. They wouldn't get the kind of tours they're getting. They wouldn't have gotten a headlining.
It wouldn't. It wouldn't work. It wouldn't work at all.
I mean, it's like Van Halen without the brothers. You know what I mean?
Well, you can't call it Van Halen because it was named after them. But I guess the reason why I give it why I give it a pass is because Zach and Dime were best friends. Like you couldn't go anywhere in the 90s or the early 2000s without mentioning both of them in the same sentence.
Probably about 8 minutes.
Yeah.
I don't
So-
know, man.
I mean, it would make more sense to have Zach pay tribute to Dime than it would to have Kerry King, because Kerry King couldn't do what Zach
No,
does.
no.
Well,
In fact, Kerry
not
King
even-
can't do what anyone does, and that's play normal. I
Well,
digress.
that is true. But I'm with Stan. If a band is an artistic unit, not just a money. And again, I've got nothing against money. I'm sure if my band made it and we hated each other and someone offered us a lot of money, we'd probably go on tour on separate buses if that ever happened, But if a band is more than a box of pie, meaning just a product, I mean, Foreigner's a great example. There are literally no original members that tour now with Foreigner. I think Lou Graham's doing a few shows.
Mhm.
The audience doesn't care. That's what's different now. The audience just does not care that there's no original members, if they even know at all. So it's to me like a name brand, like a TV show that continues without an original cast. I don't know. I don't know how to put it. Stan, help me out here.
I agree with you. No, it's true.
Hey, it's my friend Brian. I'm doing a
It's Dusty
podcast.
Rhodes.
Say hi, Brian.
Brian,
Yeah,
what
hi.
up, man?
So
What's
me
going
and
on?
Brian, we go. He took me to Doors tribute show that ruled. He's a
Ah.
cool guy. And hold on, he didn't even realize this. He's got this collection of albums, and in it, got an original press to Ride the Lightning,
Oh,
and it's all the 4 original guys signed, including Cliff Burton. He goes, "Oh, I didn't know I had this."
well. Well, you
That's
should
pretty cool.
give it to me. I'll make sure it's authenticated. I'll give it right back.
Um, I mean, the only time I ever had a real problem was I guess when Kiss reunited. Well, not reunited. I mean, when Kiss replaced Ace and Peter with Tommy and Eric.
Okay.
Now, I have no problem whatsoever with either of them as musicians. I really don't. I think Eric Singer is a great drummer. I love his work with Badlands. I love his work on Revenge. I love his work with Black Sabbath.
And you forgot somebody.
Hey, Greg.
No, you forgot
Gary
to
Moore.
mention Alice Cooper. He worked with Alice Cooper.
Yeah,
Why do I have to
when
mention-
I saw him live with Alice Cooper.
Why
So
do I have to mention Alice every show? Somebody should.
'Cause
do
that's
it
your
besides
thing.
me. Okay,
that's your
anyway,
thing.
Go ahead,
Um,
Lou.
And I have no problem with Tommy Thayer as a guitar player. I mean, I remember one of the first music videos I ever saw was Hold On to 18 by Black and Blue. So, big part of my formative years. My problem with it was just that they were wearing the makeup of the original band members that didn't belong to them. However, after I spoke with Michael Brandvold, and he basically confirmed that Ace and Peter sold the rights to their makeup back to Paul and Gene, which shows that it had no value with them to begin with. Then I said, you know what? Okay. Then I don't fault them for going out to touring with the makeup on. However, for me, it's just a little disingenuous because I'll always, for me, recognize the 4 faces as the 4 original members. And, I'll include Eric Carr up there, God rest his soul, for good measure, because he was my favorite Kiss drummer. But I never stopped anybody from going to see Kiss. I never even called them Scab Kiss. Others have, but I didn't care to do that. That's just not me.
Well, I think the difference between Kiss and a Pantera or Foreigner is Kiss never stopped. What I mean is they never stopped performing. They never took a hiatus. I totally agree with your point on the makeup, but Kiss are the most capitalist band in the history of capitalism. So to them, the faces weren't associated anymore with Ace and Peter. It was a way to keep the merchandising thing going without making too many concessions or changes, and frankly, splitting the money with Peter and Ace. So, but anyway.
Catman in the chat says, good subject. Would you see Venom with just Cronus or Venom Inc. when they had Bannon and Mantis?
Venom Inc.
Venom
I
Inc.
saw Venom Inc. and they were fantastic with
Tony
what's the guy's
Dolan.
name? Tony Dolan, right?
Yes.
So, and I met
Who,
him. Very
according
nice
to
guy.
Anthony Bray, is a cunt, by the way.
But to me,
No, these are past the 2-minute mark.
Venom with Cronus is more legit because they never stopped. That's why. It kept going.
Well, they did stop with Cronus for a while.
No.
They did.
Kronos left in '87.
Right, they got
Montaz and
Demolition
Abaddon
Man.
continued on with Tony Dolan for a few years.
Yeah,
And
those
then
albums
the
are killer.
original lineup reformed, but
Right.
no, Kronos's version of Venom is like a tribute band, basically.
No, I actually like it quite a bit. Though I like Venom Inc. albums are pretty killer though. Tony Dolan is pretty cool front man.
Mhm. Pantera though, I don't even think is in the conversation. I mean, that is out and out of a tribute band. I don't care if Rex and Salmo's Deep in the Closet Ass are both there. The Abbott brothers, whether I like them past power metal or not, were the driving force of the main songwriters. The two of them have no business doing what they're doing with the name.
Okay, question for all of you, including you, Wayne, who's asleep. If that version of Pantera recorded a new album of new material, would that legitimize the lineup for any of you as a creative force?
No.
Any of you?
No,
No,
no.
No?
because
Wayne?
again, it's a tribute to the music that Pantera did. That's why I call it Pantera Legacy. I don't call it Pantera.
Gotcha. What about you, Wayne? What do you think?
No, I agree with everybody. I don't want to. You can't. The brothers aren't there. You just can't.
Yep.
When
I
your
don't think
guitar
so.
when your guitar player is your most creative force, meaning that they write the music. So like, Eddie could have written a song with anybody and it would still sound like Eddie's music because every guitar player has their own DNA when it comes to creating music. Dime had his own DNA. Eddie had his own DNA. Tony Iommi has his own DNA. And how many guys have tried to copy him in his wake?
And I will also say, it's totally money motivated. It's got nothing
That's
to
all
do
it
with
is.
fans. They can ever say, I mean, they can say whatever they want, but I saw Down a couple days after Dime got shot, and Anselmo had nothing but negative, mean-spirited crap to say about them, even then, right after he died. I do not respect that man at all, and nobody should go see it. There is no respect, no love for the Abbott brothers on his part. I don't believe it. It's 100% money, and Phil's a piece of human garbage, honestly.
Well,
Sorry, Manny, go ahead.
No, you go, Luke.
I appreciate Charlie as a drummer. I appreciate Rex as a musician. And even though he's not my favorite guitarist of Ozzy, I will say Zach did Dime justice. So for those reasons alone, I was happy to go to that Friday MetLife show at Metallica with Mammoth WVH opening. I mostly went for Mammoth. To hear the old Pantera songs again was a bonus. Phil, yeah, I mean, I don't know. If they could have put Randy Blythe from Lamb of God to replace Phil, and I would have still been only focused on Zach, but that's just me. And I thought Zach did Dime justice.
Well, here's where I'm about to contradict myself. So Greg has a background of Black Sabbath, and to me, as long as Tony Iommi was in the lineup, I don't care who was in the band; it was Black Sabbath.
Amen.
And
I agree, except honestly, even though it carried the name Seventh Star, I'll never fully be able to see as a full Sabbath album because it was definitely intended to be a solo album, and even though it's still Tony Iommi, that album just does not carry the Sabbath feel because he wasn't writing for Sabbath. He was branching out. It's still a great record, but it's one of them ones where it's a name only.
I have a question for Greg.
Sure.
how come during the period of the writing sessions for Seventh Star, why was that the period that Tony Iommi decided to trademark the name Black Sabbath then if he had no intention of using it?
No, I fully believe he intended on using it later. But I believe him when he said he needed a break from Sabbath, so he trademarked the name, planned to do a solo album, and then was going to circle around to it later. A lot of what actually turned into Seventh Star was pushed by the record company because Sabbath still owed Warner's an album, 2 albums.
Yeah, and the album after that was a real masterpiece. I mean, I love Seventh Star. I appreciate its blues sentiments, considering that Sabbath did start as a blues band. But Eternal Idol was just like light years beyond a masterpiece.
Oh yeah, but that also has the Sabbath sound. I mean, you could say Heart Like a Wheel, Danger Zone, Bear,
The Shining.
Well, I'm more talking off of Seventh Star. You know, they bear a lot of resemblance, especially to the first Sabbath album with their bluesy feel, but Eternal Idol, you can tell, is fully a Sabbath album. It's just it was written that way. I mean, Glenn Hughes wasn't even the intended vocalist for the entirety of Seventh Star. It was supposed to be a project with a bunch of different singers.
That's true, and he did say that he does not remember anything about the 80s.
No,
so we'll give him a pass for that.
Snowblind, cocaine.
Yep.
Cocaine's a hell of a drug.
It is. Icicles within my brain.
You ever see Charlie Murphy do karate? It's like he did it with them little kids.
What are you talking about?
Can you hear me? Or is it too loud?
It's a little loud. So when you don't talk, just hit the mute button.
Oh, right. man, he's got the wacky tobacco.
I don't do things just to do them. I got more sense than that. Do you remember grinding your feet on Charlie Murphy's couch? Yeah. We remember why he did it? Yeah, because he could afford another one.
Edward Wright said he's got no problem with Kiss, but they should have made new characters for Tommy and Eric. Actually, should have kept Bruce with the new makeup too, but Bruce didn't want makeup on. That's why he wasn't there.
Bruce didn't want makeup, and quite honestly, I mean, hey, you know, if I was Peter Criss at the time, and even Ace, really, for the 6-figure sums they were given for that makeup design, I understand why they took it, but also, as much as we love Kiss and feel they should have gotten their own makeup designs from a fan standpoint, I mean, really, looking at the band as a business, that was the best way to keep it going. And I don't think Sonic Boom, Monster, or any of those tours would have been as big if Tommy and Eric had different makeup.
The makeup didn't matter. It's just the name.
Yeah. I mean, me not going to buy a ticket for them didn't hurt their ticket sales. So, you know.
No.
I'll be honest with you. I fully would have gone. What the final straw was for me, even though I referred to them as Scab Kiss, but on that first tour, when they had Thayer doing Shock Me, that was it for me. That's Ace's song. That he might be dressed as the Space Ace. You can continue those 4 faces on, but you can't have him do Shock Me in costume. That is sacrilegious.
Well, how'd you feel about Eric Singer doing Beth?
And pretending he could play the keyboard.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous. That song could have been dropped from the set and nobody would have noticed.
I'll be honest with you. I forgot about that. Shock Me was the one that made my brain go into the red. So that's the one I always remember.
At least he didn't do the exploding pickup thing.
That's the thing. Like, Eric Singer did not have to do Beth. There's no reason. They didn't have to do that.
No.
You know, nobody would have cared. You know, nobody would have said, "Oh, they didn't play Beth."
They could have dropped that. Nobody would have blinked an eye.
No one would have cared. Not one person.
No.
All right. Since I'm just bringing up random subjects, I'm going to bring up Alice Cooper. What do you guys think of the original Alice Cooper reuniting? I'm going on mute now.
We love the new Alice Cooper. I love the new song, by the way. I think it's
I love
really,
the new
really
song
good.
too. Yeah.
I love the new song, and I think it's cool the remnants of the band are getting back together with Alice.
Yeah.
By the way, you know that solo is Robbie Krieger of the Doors, right? On the Black Mamba.
Oh,
Yes,
didn't
I
know.
did. Did you know there's blood on the streets in the town of New Haven, man?
No, I did not.
Well, according
Well,
to Jim, blood blood is the rose of mysterious union. Nice quoting Jim there. Thank you, Greg.
not a problem, man.
I haven't heard it. Although I think it's cool that the original lineup of the Alice Cooper band got back together. With the Bouchard brothers doing Blue Coupe, with
Mhm.
the drummer from the original Alice Cooper band doing it.
Neil
Shows
Smith.
you
Yeah.
Neil Smith. Thank you.
Everybody's there except for Glenn.
Well, because he's passed on,
Obviously.
we know that.
Yeah, yeah.
I think it's a great thing. And
Although I think he's on the album. Is there's like outtakes of him or something on the album? I don't know.
Yeah, he's on the album. He's on a song. They pulled out of somewhere. I don't know where. I don't know if Bob Ezrin found it because he probably has those tapes or something. But yeah, you are right. Glenn is on the album. I don't know what song. He's not on that song though. That's Krieger and Michael Bruce.
Yep.
But it's definitely something I'm very interested in hearing the rest of the album. If that song's that good, and I hope the rest of the songs are. Because when they did Welcome to My Nightmare 2, and they did those like 2 songs or 3 songs, whatever it is, those are like, they got something better than that. So I'm hoping that this is
I think it's because on this album, Alice and Ezra decided, well, if we're going to do a reunion, we're going to give them some creative input, which makes sense because that's the whole point of a band. They're not going to have creative input. Release it as a solo album.
All right.
Yeah, and I honestly think Alice had more to do with that than Ezrin did, because I'm pretty sure Ezrin's the one that toned down the reunion vibes and all that on the Welcome to My Nightmare too. Bob might be a good producer, but he's a little bit of a tyrant and stuck up his own ass with a lot of his decisions since the early 70s.
No one's denying that. But I grew up at an interesting time, as a child of the 80s, where a lot of the bands that I grew up loving did not have their original members. Like when people think UFO, you think of the Michael Schenker era. Who were the guitar players when I was growing up in UFO? Paul Chapman and Tommy McClendon.
Oh, you got into
that
you
early. Actually know. Yeah. Who remembers the name of the other guy? I'm impressed.
I like the Misdemeanor album, and I like Amos Behavior.
I do too. It's an ARO album, but
AOR, Manny.
Okay.
AOR.
Okay. I am going to make this argument here and now because this is one of the things that drives me craziest about the fucking internet. AOR is album-oriented rock. It was bands like Sabbath, Boston, Led Zeppelin that weren't super into putting singles out. What everyone refers to as AOR from the 80s, it's soft rock,
right,
pop rock. Get over it. I'm not saying it's bad. It's what it is.
That's true, but they called it that to separate those bands from Led Zeppelin, Black Sabbath, Aerosmith.
I'm telling you, the music industry causes division.
However,
it's a threat to our democracy.
However, all of them are singles based. Those were the big pushes behind those soft rock records. You can't tell me it wasn't with Asia.
Yeah. Point taken.
Was the
and I like Asia, but
band of that sort, they actually that seems like a record company committee type thing than a real band. But though I do like some Asia tracks, so.
I mean, I think they have credibility because of the musicianship that they had. I mean, come on, Steve Howe, Carl Palmer on drums. Great high caliber musicians. So and I have no problem with melody. I'm a sucker for melody. I've been saying that since I joined the show. But back to what I was saying though, like a lot of the bands I grew up loving that had their heyday in the 70s did not have their original members. So I guess I never really thought about it as much. I was like, okay, you replace a guy, you move on, you contain a little bit of the DNA in there. Sometimes it even causes a shift. It's to be expected. Well, you can't tell me that when Dio joined Sabbath that they sounded the same as they did with Ozzy. They did not. It was a great evolution of that band. So, sometimes heavy metal mitosis works.
Stan, what's some favorite bands that you like that don't have the original members anymore?
That don't have the original members anymore.
You framed an Asia poster.
What does that mean?
That's from the 40-year-old virgin.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Dude, I can't think of any, honestly.
Yeah, I'm glad you showed up. Let's see.
Dream Theater, they don't have their original singer.
Dream Theater. Yeah,
That don't have any original members though.
Oh, they don't have any original members?
Yeah, that's
true.
what Wayne's asking. Like,
No. I mean,
no. He said don't have most of their original
yeah.
members.
oh, shit. Well, the Scorpions is one of them, right?
Yeah, but
Yeah.
Scorpions suck. So next.
Wayne.
Shut the fuck up.
Well, I mean, if you want to get really technical, the only original member in Judas Priest is actually Ian Hill, but
Yeah.
The guy that does nothing.
Yeah, Judas Priest right there. Let's see. I mean,
All right, well,
Iron Maiden.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I don't think this should be easy. Why is it so hard?
It should be.
I should be
Candlemass.
easy, right?
Candlemass only has one
Candlemass
original member
is
left.
good, yeah.
Yeah. For some reason, I keep thinking of like bands that just that still have all original members.
There really isn't any. I really don't
I mean,
think there is any.
Ramstein. They've been together for like
Yeah.
30 years.
It's been the same 6 guys for the last 30 years. So,
Yeah.
It's actually harder to do a show on bands that have all the original members in it.
Oh, sure.
There's just not that many.
No, and I mean, really, you would have to word it a different way than all the
Yeah.
original members. It's more like from what's the most known lineup, I
Yeah.
would say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tyler's bassist, he said his old band opened for UFO. They had Vinnie Moore playing guitar and Barry Sparks on bass.
I saw Barry Sparks play with Dokken when they opened for Whitesnake and the Scorpions at the Nassau Coliseum. I think there was only about 2,000 people at that show. Oh,
Dude,
man.
when I saw Anvil, there were 25 people there. Now I will give the guys
Deservedly so.
what's that?
I said deservedly so.
They're very good live, though. I will say.
No,
that.
they were great live, and they were
They're
great
such a
guys.
terrible band though. Lips is
You
such
might not
a
like
great
them,
guy,
but he's a good guy. He's a really, really good guitar player. Vocals not so great, neither are his lyrics, but they're good musicians. The drummer's awesome. I mean,
they're okay.
The songwriting is just
it's just bland. Yeah.
Let's face it. There is a reason they didn't make it. They did not get passed over.
Right. Yep.
No, Raven got passed over. I don't think Anvil did.
Raven deserved better.
They should have never signed with Atlantic. They got screwed over bad.
Yeah. I do enjoy Anvil albums quite a bit, Greg, but it's hard for me to make an artistic case that they were like overlooked like Raven or the first Angel Witch album, for example, should have been bigger, or in this country, Saxon should have been bigger.
I'm going to disagree with you there, but okay.
Well, in my opinion, but
honestly,
but Saxon are huge internationally.
Thing about Saxon is, just to bring this into talking about original members and all that, I think their material from the past 10 years or so is way better than anything they ever did in the past.
I think so too.
I actually agree with you. The only problem with those Saxon albums, they're all great, but they're all interchangeable. That's my only problem with them.
Yeah,
I do like them.
Songwriters.
Yeah, I mean, I like them a lot, and it's probably due more to the production than the songwriting. Truth,
And he's frozen
because Andy Snip, he took those production, but they're interchangeable.
Why do you keep putting yourself on mute?
I don't think it's him doing it.
I think he keeps
You're on mute
up or something.
Well, he's not
I'm
talking.
sorry. Well, I'm going to put myself on mute because it's loud in here.
Okay.
I honestly, Saxon was the opening act for Priest in 2018. They were firing on all cylinders. Whoever they had in the band at that time were great. I'm only happier now for them because they got Brian Tatler from Diamond Head now as their second guitarist.
Yeah, it took them 40 years, but they finally got a talented
Yeah,
guitarist.
he finally got over.
But there's a band that Biff is the only original member left in the band, I believe, right?
Yeah, because
Yeah, actually,
yeah,
at this
because
point, because
Oliver
Quinn,
Dawson made their. Oh man,
Yeah.
because Paul Quinn got replaced by the Diamond Head guy. So yeah,
And see, there's that band. I don't. Biff is the vocalist. You need to hear him. The other guys, I don't think it really made a difference whether they're in the band or not.
no,
Isn't Nigel Glocker still in the band?
I thought he went off with Oliver Dawson when they all kind of split there.
I don't know, maybe. You
I
know,
don't know.
my buddy from college when he was studying in Dublin, when we were students at St. John's University, he actually saw Oliver Dawson Saxon play at a bar in Dublin. You know, Wayne, it was like the equivalent to going to see a band at the Voodoo Lounge in
Oh
Bayside
my god! Wow.
or Castle Heights.
Those were the times.
or a band at this bar.
Does that bar get live music at all?
Every blue moon they do, but it's more your Americana folky type thing, you know. So
Got it.
You're right, Lou. Nigel is still in the band.
Oh, okay.
All right, so there you go. Queensryche. Edward Wright said the latest version of Queensryche. 2 original members, and you're right. The drummers,
Yeah.
I don't know what the hell the drummer's doing. I mean, one minute he's out, he needs to go take care of his baby, and then he never comes back, and all of a sudden he does come back, but he somehow owns the Queensryche name. I don't know what the hell's going on with there. But I mean, the band's not the same without Jeff Tate. I do like Todd LaTorre a lot, but the albums just don't stand up to those original ones with Jeff Tate singing.
Yeah, well, neither
No.
did Mind Crime 2 and Tate sings
No.
on that. So.
No, it did not. There's maybe
yeah, I
two
was gonna
songs on
say those Queensryche albums they did in the 2000s, they were okay at best, but
that.
can
They're
you
not
name,
memorable at all. They could just not exist and nobody would care.
Yeah, I was gonna say, can you name a song on any of those albums?
Open.
Yeah.
That's the only one I know.
But everything from Promised Land and before that, I can remember. Anything after that, it's just like a blur of just, I don't know. That Mind Crime 2 was terrible. And it sucks because Dio's on it. You know, you would think that would have been a good song, but it was okay at best. You know? And then they
And
tried to
that's
do
like-
some cabaret bullshit too on
And
the
that's
last
like,
album.
Q2K from 2000. It's not terrible. It's just
it's-
the blandest songwriting
Oh,
ever.
it's so bad. So bad.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's not terrible, but it's not very memorable, you know.
It's not
I couldn't
Queensryche,
tell you a
it's just-
single song on it.
Yeah.
I don't think that was too far removed from Promised Land and Here in the Now Frontier, though.
No, it was completely removed from those. Here in the Now Frontier is actually good. All the songs on that album are actually good. It just doesn't sound like typical Queensryche. It's very
You
like
just said
alternative.
everything after Promised
I know.
Land.
I forgot. I totally forgot about that album. I forgot about that from that one and back. Because I do actually like that one a lot. But yeah, they just completely turned into a different band. And it sucks because I used to love them so much. Merciful Fate, only King and Hank Sherman. Yeah.
I'll be honest with you. When it comes to Reich, though, I'm not even the biggest fan of the original Operation Mindcrime. First 3 are the best. EP, Warning, and Rage for Order.
Mm.
I think I'm one of the few that prefers Empire to Mindcrime.
I do as well.
Okay, so I don't feel so left
I-
out.
I-
Thank you.
Mindcrime
Well,
isn't
I
terrible,
do
don't
not,
get me
but
wrong.
I
I still
respect
like
it.
the album a lot, but I mean, it's a wank fest of a concept album. Tate's always been real egotistical and grandiose even back then, and that's what hurts that one a little bit for me.
Yeah, but he does have a killer voice. I'll give him that.
Had a killer voice.
Had a killer voice. yes. I
Now
stand
he just-
corrected.
Yeah. Now he's just a prick.
And like I said before, Merciful Fate and only has King Diamond and Hank Sherman left in the band. That's okay. I can deal with that too. You know, Timmy passed away, and Michael Denner. I don't see him ever coming back into the band. And the drummer
That ain't
situation,
gonna happen.
no, and the drummer situation. I mean, they've always had different drummers, so that really doesn't even matter to me. But what's his name that they got now?
Mike Weed.
No,
Mike Weed is a good guitar player.
he's
isn't he?
okay. No,
He's a
I'm
very
talking about
good
the
guitar
drummer.
player,
What the hell's the
yeah.
drummer's name? Oh crap, it's right here.
Um,
I can't think of his name.
Kim Ruse or something like that.
No,
No.
that's the
No,
original.
Rose is the original drummer, but
Bjorn.
Bjorn. Yes, thank you.
Bjorn, yeah.
I mean,
He's a good drummer.
there's another prog metal band from the mid to late 80s that has a completely new singer, Crimson Glory. You know, and when people hear
I
Crimson,
can't count them because I have a feeling that's going to end before anything even.
Yeah,
happens.
I do too. I think I think they should put in their 2 weeks before they start.
Oh,
Yes.
that saddens me to hear because I genuinely want them to
I do
succeed.
too. And every time I see their name, I'm like, oh, I get so excited, and I just get let down a week later.
last good album Crimson Glory did was Transcendence, which I feel really bad saying that because I like them a lot, especially those first two. But
The first two are the best, and after that,
they've never really managed to hit the mark again outside of a couple songs in an album. But bands with only one or two original members, who we just reviewed a couple weeks ago, Cancer.
Yeah, it's only one original member.
Yep.
Ah,
It's just John, and that's an amazing album, and it sounds like Cancer.
why are we willing to accept Motorhead with any lineup?
Because Lemmy rules.
I personally was not. That whole Lemmy is Motorhead thing kind of irritates me, quite honestly. I was never a fan of the two guitar thing. I don't think that worked for them very well. And as cool of a guy as Lemmy was, it was so goddamn diluted by the mid 90s. It wasn't Motorhead anymore to me.
I respectfully disagree with what you're saying. I'm not saying you're
I
wrong.
agree
I'm just
too.
saying I disagree with it. Orgasmatron is my favorite Motorhead album, and I say that because it was my first Motorhead album, so it's special to me.
Okay.
When I first heard Sacrifice, which was the last album that they did with Wurzel, but then when they went on the road with just Mickey and Phil and Lemmy in the band, having seen them live 3 times, face melted every time. I mean, just how good they were live. I guess I was willing to accept it because they delivered the goods live. And there's
That's
a lot
fair.
there's a lot of songs that they did with that later lineup that to me hold up with like Iron Fist or Bomber or even Ace of Spades or The Chase is Better Than the Catch. We Are the Road Crew. I mean, songs like a Killer. I mentioned Sacrifice.
Motorizer is a great album.
I
I
like the latter version of Motorhead, and I think they're great albums, and I think they sound great, and I think they hold up, and some of that stuff I kind of like sometimes better than the classic material albums, personally. So I liked all versions of Motorhead.
Yeah, I have no problem. To me, Lemmy was always the face of Motorhead anyway.
Three Amigos was the best era.
It was.
Yeah, I
but
I will always love Fast Eddie Clark. I mean, not just I love his work with Fastway, but I mean, for me, it was just the fact that to me as a guitar player, this between him and Brian Tatler. And I'll give the credit to Tony Iommi. I don't think you could have found 3 other guitar players who influenced where metal went in the 80s without the 3 of them.
I don't think you could either, no.
I can't, and Randy Rhoads, but I can't disagree with that, So, and by the way, gentlemen, I gotta get out of here. My phone's about to die. Plus, I don't have a beer. So,
well, that's a problem.
Yeah, and my bartender's way over there. So,
that's another problem.
All right, gentlemen.
You'll get some late tonight for sure.
Manny,
tell us how you do.
I doubt that's going to happen here at Sausage Fest 2025, but I appreciate the settlement, gentlemen.
Good luck.
No strudel, only pie. Bye-bye.
Pies. Bye.
all right.
By the way, Lou, you must have a good plastic surgeon to have your face melted off and then have it back to normal again. So
I know it's pretty cool
props to
today.
your plastic surgeon.
No, I'm too late to move my like.
No,
Are we still talking about volume 4?
that went right ahead. What?
No, I just set up this picture way earlier when I was still planning on doing that.
No, it's too late for that.
That's going to be next week.
Next week. Yes.
Okay.
That way you guys all get the chance
gotta-
to watch the documentary too. You guys really should check that out.
Oh, now you're asking me to do more.
Well, at least one of you has to watch it.
What is it? What documentary?
It's a volume 4
These guys
documentary on YouTube.
that
Oh, okay, I
do,
saw that, yes, okay.
documentaries for each Sabbath album, and they recently just did the one for volume 4. I've been listening to it every day lately for different reasons, but the Super Deluxe box is my favorite version to listen to on LP, and it's not so much that they changed the mix or anything, Wayne. It's just they refined it a bit and made it a little clearer.
Yeah,
a little
I was looking through the box. I got the box set right here. I was looking through that before, and I see what you're talking about now. So, but I will go. Next week is a better week. I don't have too many things to do, so I can listen to it.
The first, while we're on topic, with Sabbath, the first Sabbath album I ever heard in full was Cross Purposes. So I didn't even hear the Ozzy stuff. I didn't hear the DL stuff. I heard the Tony Martin stuff. That was kind of like I knew of Paranoid and Iron Man, but Cross Purposes was the album that I bought with my own money back when I was a young lad.
A wee lad.
And a wee lad. And I love that fucking album.
Well,
it's so good. Very underrated.
I mean,
people
I
like Headless
that you
Cross
say that,
more.
but Cross Purposes is pretty much the bottom of the list when it comes to my favorite Sabbath album.
Do you put Forbidden over Cross Purposes?
Now that they did the remix, yes.
Interesting. I am now reading on the internet that now people actually prefer the older mix to Forbidden to the new one.
Of course they do.
I swear to God.
Because it's the internet. We got Martin Popoff calling Metallica self-titled a doom metal album. We got people preferring the original mix of Forbidden. The interesting thing about that is, and it's funny because I've been so busy with work, I've never gotten he's like, oh, type it in the comments. Like, no, dude, I gotta send you a DM. There is absolutely no way I'm gonna have a half hour sitting on my phone to actually type in a comment thread. But the thing is, he does make some legitimate points about a lot of the early Sabbath influence that's on there. However, that's not how they play it, and that's not really in the style of how they wrote it. Now, even though I don't really particularly care for that album, I can recognize it for what it is. And I wouldn't even go so far as to call it hard rock, but it's definitely traditional heavy metal is what I would call it, even with all the Sabbath influences. There is no way you can call that doom metal. And I get what some people say about it, including him about the darkness and all that. But really, if you're going to try to make that case about Enter Sandman the way they did on that episode of The Contrarians, you might as well call Knock 'Em Dead Kid by Motley Crue doom metal, because it's the same exact criteria. It doesn't fit. But anyway, Lou, back to your point.
I mean, Enter Sandman is too fast.
Are you, Lou? No.
Considered doom. No, I'm sorry.
No, that's what I mean. It's not how it's played, and that's not how they wrote it. You can take Sabbath shuffles, you can take the tritone and all kinds of different stuff and incorporate it into different music. But production wise, the way it's actually written and the way it's played, it's not doom. You might as well take every band Sabbath has influenced that's taken something from them and call it doom metal. You can't shove someone into that criteria based on influences.
Having said that, I will say that everybody is playing, whether it's doom metal or not, everybody's playing Tony Iommi's riffs. they're playing them faster. Maybe they're playing them slower. They're playing them backwards or just a couple of notes, you know, mixed up. But we're all playing Tony Iommi's riffs.
I'd say it's about 50-50. 50%'s Tony Iommi, the other 50%'s Brian Tatler. That honestly, Diamond Head and Sabbath, I think you can tie almost every single metal band directly back to.
All I gotta say to Martin Popoff is this: what he said is so offensive. The band Candlemass is moving to Texas right now to purposely purchase guns without a permit so they can go to Canada and tell Mr. Popoff, we have some words for you about what you said about Metallica's Black Album and calling it doom metal. Have you heard of us?
I would have never considered that doom metal ever. I never even
It's
crossed
not.
my mind.
Well, it's not, and you know, some of the points he did make, you can kind of tie into Trouble's second self-titled from 1990, but the difference there is Trouble played in that style. That was what Trouble did. Just because Metallica was influenced by Sabbath does not make it doom metal, you know.
Yeah.
Hell, honestly, while I consider Black Sabbath the godfathers of doom, I really don't consider them a doom metal band altogether.
I
They
think
took more chances than that. You can't just pigeonhole them like that. Sorry, Lou, you were saying?
No, I think Sabbath influenced every subgenre of metal that came after it. I mean, like, thrash, you could find its origins a symptom of the universe. Every doom metal band has to tip their hat and give Sabbath their flowers. Even hardcore bands. I mean, in Sabbath songs during the Ozzy era, I mean, for God's sakes, hardcore bands were ripping them off and just slowed the parts down and called them breakdowns. I mean, Peter Steele of Type O Negative, God rest his soul, said it. They were the original goth band.
That is the thing I absolutely hated the most about 90s and early 2000s metal. Oh, isn't that a sick breakdown, bro? Yeah, your breakdown's awesome, you fucking idiot. Okay, I get it. You don't like guitar solos, but is that cool? No.
Why can't you do a guitar solo over a breakdown? I mean, what the hell?
Well, because that wasn't in during that time period.
And that's why I hated a lot of music in the 90s.
I'm just saying they tried to say that was better than guitar solos, and it's like, well, it's not. And then they would try to compare it like what Sabbath would do, and Cornucopia is a great example. But there's a difference between the way bands back then used the breakdown, if you will. It wasn't the goal to do something mediocre like that in the song, and then we're gonna come back and scream and because we're Papa Roach or whatever bullshit frat house band they were. It was, oh, we're gonna do this and then stop and transition into a different amazing part of the song.
They are all guilty of that. What's up, Sam? What were you gonna say?
Oh, I was gonna ask, like, is there a major difference between like what is considered doom metal and what is like stoner metal?
To some people
overlap?
there are. I don't really think there is.
I've always hated that term stoner metal. It just sounds so fucking stupid.
Well, I guess
Caius would be the best
depends on the
example.
band, because you have your Caius, and then you have stuff like Orange Goblin, where it has doom elements, but there's also a lot of I'm going to say biker rock in it, because a lot of people, oh yeah, stoner metal, this and that. Well, you can say what you want, but to me, it sounds like heavy metal with a very large Rolling Stones influence.
Well, Caius is like desert rock, right? Is that what they call it?
Yeah, and what the hell is desert rock?
It's like, I don't know. I mean, but desert rock for some reason makes more sense than fucking stoner rock. I mean, I'm not a stoner, and like I feel like, is this music for druggies or something? Like, what's going on? Like, Like who
I don't
originated that term? Like, it just sounds so ridiculous.
You know,
Oh,
it's
that came about with sleep, 100%.
yeah, which
Yeah.
is Matt Pike from High on Fire's original band.
Yeah.
In my
Mm.
college radio days, we were serviced a lot by Man's Ruin Records. And
Oh,
what
You were
so
serviced by a
Service.
Because you
man.
said you were serviced by man's ruin. I'm so
Man's Ruin Records sent CDs to many college radio stations
there you go.
for the purpose of airplay on the Lod Rock charts.
Oh man.
I'm gonna kill these motherfuckers one of these days. I swear to God. Only Greg gets a pass. Anyways,
that's pretty cool, Beavis.
I like how Stan's got my crotch behind him.
yeah, look at my crotch. But like some of the bands that they had on their label were like Fu Manchu, Goat Snake, Natas, which is Satan spelled backwards, and they were a Spanish band. You also had the Desert Sessions, which was a side project of Josh from Queens and Caius.
Mhm.
And the funny thing is, I was like, they said, "Oh, it's great desert rock. Oh, it's great stoner rock. Oh, it's great doom metal." I'm like, it's kind of all interchangeable. It's just really fuzzed up guitars, slow, dirgy riffs, or if you're Fu Manchu, you kick that shit up a notch and pretend like you're in a 70s skate park.
Yeah.
Clutch is like considered like a stoner rock band, but to me they just sound like rock and roll. I mean, I don't know.
In
Maybe
the end,
back
it's
in the
all it
day,
is.
well, maybe back in the day, like in the 90s, they were, I guess, stoner rock because they were more, I guess, what you said, like, fuzzed up guitars and everything.
Yeah.
But
And
I
like,
just kind of lumped it in under alternative, which I mean is what I really remember most of that being called in the 90s.
you remember Clutch being called alternative?
They lumped a lot of stuff in alternative rock, yeah.
Yeah, but they took like the strangest, the most different assortment of bands out on the road with them. Like when I first saw them, they took out Corrosion of Conformity, Fly, uh, I forget that band's name, and 61.
Fly
No,
on the
not
It's
Fly.
like a fly on the wall.
Um, not Fly on the Wall. 60-watt Shaman. Next time I saw them, they took out Candaria, and I saw them with 5 Year Disaster, 5 Horse Johnson, Year End Disaster and 5 Horse Johnson. And when I saw them recently, it was with the band Stoner, which consisted of original members of Caius, with the exception of Josh and John. So it was Brant and Nick with a different guitar player. So and to me, a big part of that sound is analog recording and vintage tube instruments and original acoustic drums. So that's a big part of what makes that sound work.
mm. I remember seeing High on Fire live.
Opening for Megadeth.
No, they were headlining. They came on like an hour and a half late or something, and the singer was like fucking drunk as shit and everything. And there was this other band that opened up for them called Planes Mistaken for Stars or some shit like that.
Planes Mistaken for Stars opening for High on Fire.
I think so, yeah.
That's an
And
emo band, aren't they?
dude, it was the most. It's probably the only stoner rock band, stoner show that I've been to. As far as High on Fire goes. But it was just the most boring ass shit I ever. I'm like, "What, people listen to this crap?"
They're high as fuck when they're listening to it. That's the thing, or watching it.
That's the thing, right?
Yeah, but
Yeah.
here's the thing. I was high as fuck a couple years ago when I went to see Voivod and they had Yob and Amen Ra open for them. I had to walk out of that them with their little incense burners and the toll and bell. That's cool for an intro, but when that's like all you do and it's similar to shoegaze. Well, that sucks too.
Shoegaze.
Yeah,
I tell you, I've done enough blow where I've gotten stuck, just like Sabbath talks about in Snowblind, but you still rock. even if you can't move and you're like this.
I think that's the closest I ever got to Greg.
All right, so we can end the show soon. Metallica Load coming out with a big deluxe huge box set. It's $275. I pre-ordered it. All right, I like the album. There's a lot of shit coming with this thing, by the way.
I hope you have a big Affirm account.
Wait, did that come with the
I
reload
put under
too?
your credit card. What?
Oh, great.
It comes with reload too, or just
No, it's just load.
just load?
Reload's going to be its own thing. I would assume. But Mama said picture disc. I don't know. Was that ever a thing? Like back in the day? Like that wasn't the first single.
No.
It wasn't even a single.
No.
They couldn't have just made it for this though.
Hero of the Day and
Until It Sleeps.
yeah, those
And
were the
King
two
King
singles.
Nothing.
Oh yeah, King Nothing. That's right. That is.
Yeah.
Those are all good tunes.
Hey, my
Let me
bitch.
tell you, man, I had to do that raffle because I got that OG copy of Load cheap, and the Hero of the Day single made a decent amount of money off of it. But I had to sit through 4 different versions of King Nothing. No, it ain't cool.
And
Anyway, it's got three. Hold on, man. 3 live LPs, 15 CDs, 4 DVDs featuring unreleased content, MP3 download card of all the audio, 2 tour laminates, 11 by 17 Lollapalooza poster, Puss head patch, Rolling Stone magazine cover print, 5 packs guitar picks and bass picks, pack of 14 test card. I don't know what that says. Test cards, lyric folder and sheets, 128-page hardcover book with never before seen photos and stories from those who were there. The one thing I really well, I like a lot of things about these box sets that Metallica's been doing, but the one thing I do really like is they have a lot of the fans submit stuff to put into this box set that I guess they don't have, which I don't know how they don't have a lot of this stuff already. But so many people contribute to this box set, making it really a fan type thing. And I like that a lot. I think that's really cool, you know.
Do you guys think that the load and reload stuff would have sounded much better if it was done by another band?
No.
No, you just don't like the songs at all.
They're very very clunky. I really honestly respect what they were trying to do, but it's 90% of it just isn't cohesive. Perhaps if you took the basic ideas and it was written with better musicians or musicians that were more suited to those things, I think a couple of them could be legitimately great songs, but they were just a little too far out of their element ambition wise. Because I'll be honest, other than having to hear 4 different versions of Hero of the Day and King Nothing, which was a little much, I didn't want to toss it out the window like I did when I first heard it years ago. I actually did throw the cassette out the window, but no, what I really honestly hear is 4 guys that were in their 30s, where a couple of them gotten sober for the first time and were really trying to make sense of their early success and just life in general. And I don't think they had it all cohesively in mind as a plan when it comes to making a full album. I think if they had taken a little bit more time with it and refined it better, they both could have been great. Well, Load could have been a great album. Reload, I think, is a little. I feel like there's a lot of demos that got thrown on there just to fill the album. That
I think that both of those albums are just the problem. The main problem is that they're just so fucking bloated.
Exactly.
It's just
too much.
It's
They
like
can make
14
condensed.
songs, like almost 80 minutes long. I mean,
well,
I said this before that I like half of Load and I like half of Reload. If they put them together, you got a perfect album. You don't need 2 of them.
No.
yeah, it suffers the same.
Reload especially is not as good. It's just it's more forgettable, and I don't know. It just doesn't. I remember really liking Load, but Reload is just apart from a couple of tunes. You know, I like The Memory Remains. I like The Unforgiven 6 or whatever it is. But you know, I like those songs, but 80% of that album I don't even fucking remember.
It
It's
suffers the
also
same.
very of its time, I feel like, too. That might be the only time I really feel like they went out of their way to kind of incorporate what was going on at the time into what they were doing. And maybe I'm wrong about that, but
I don't know. It sort of sounds like music for cops or something.
The show Cops.
well,
No,
you,
like actual cops. Like it almost has this like rednecky vibe.
It has a very big
Fuel
rednecky vibe.
definitely. That is one of my most hated songs ever. I still can't believe that was a radio tune.
I think it suffers the same problem as Use Your Illusions 1 and 2. It's bloated and
Well, it's but you know, a lot of people remember stuff differently, especially when there's drugs involved. Volume 4 is a great example, not only what they mentioned in the documentary, but going back and reading through some of my books, there's contradictory statements on different pages in the same book sometimes.
I to be honest, I want to be interested in getting the box set of Load. I don't hate the album. There's a lot of songs on it I do like, but I agree with Stan. I feel like if you took the best songs off Load and the best songs off Reload, you'd have a really good album.
Definitely.
Regardless if it's a Metallica album or not, I like the songs. I don't mind the production. You know, I mean, give me Ride the Lightning any day of the week. That will always be my favorite Metallica album. But you know, I've also been the biggest advocate that a band needs to grow and evolve. You can't just stay the same way the whole time. Otherwise, you get boring and stagnant.
Yeah, and honestly, perfect example there. Justice and Load. I'd take Load over Justice any day of the week.
Really,
Song 1.
you know, it's funny because somebody actually posted on one of the Sabbath Facebook groups about supposedly Tony Iommi remixing Born Again. And I said,
Yes.
you know, that's like one of the few albums where the production was shoddy, but I think that's what added to its charm. I don't know if I could listen to it perfect.
No.
I mean,
I don't.
I accept it for what it is, but then said, well, how do you feel about And Justice for All? I'm like, you got me there. My biggest problem with that album is I can't hear Jason.
But who cares? Like I didn't even notice until you go on the internet and say he's not there. Like back in the day, I had no idea. I would have never known.
It is for me because I love the live experience. And I know when I go see a band live, I want to hear all the instruments.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm doing Decay and Decadence number 12.
Here we go. He's plugging his own show. All right.
No. Okay. I got to drop this because you guys, this is going to freak you out. So there's a couple of younger musicians that have joined us on this one. Some of them I know because they're the kids of parents within the group. Right. One kid got invited in. He asked us, are we going to have backing tracks? Yeah. No, everything is live and raw. Mm-hmm. Will we have music stands? No, everyone's got to go in and know their shit. So, you know, I appreciate the live raw aspects. So it would be cool. Like again, Born Again is a shoddy sounding album, and I still love it because it's raw. It's organic. You know, I feel something listening to it.
Mm-hmm. Well,
and I like Jason as a bassist, so I'm sad that I don't get to hear him. Sorry, Stan.
Speaking of, you know, live and raw, how do you feel when you listen to Saint Anger?
I don't like that album.
Yeah, the songs. It doesn't matter if that album is mixed or not. The songs are just bad.
One song on it I like that I mentioned on Alan Andy show, and I forgot the name of it. Not the show, I mean the song.
No, that whole thing is garbage. It's not even a slam against them just because I'm not really a Metallica fan, but objectively, from a musical perspective, it's just out and out terrible, regardless of production. That huge misstep.
The thing that annoys me about Metallica the most is the way their albums are, is the way the drums sound. The drums have to be the loudest fucking thing on all these albums. I have never actually listened, at least on headphones, a Metallica album from beginning to end because I get ear fatigue because the drums are just so they're tuned so bright and they're so fucking loud. They're louder than everything. And I'm like, dude, is this guy's fucking ego that fucking big?
It's not Lars. It's a holdover from Bob Rock's production skills. Because Bob Rock is a drummer,
Oh,
so
so that's what it is.
he showed bias towards Lars's instruments. It's not
Hmm.
Lars.
I didn't know that. Yeah, but it just sounds like like somebody's just like banging really hard on the table and just so obnoxious and annoying, and I just can't. It's irritating to me. Like, and it just can you just tune it down just a little bit, just a little bit.
Yeah,
I don't know. And on Saint Anger, like it's almost like you're having a fucking laugh, and then now it's like it just sounds like a fucking trash can. What are you fucking kidding me, man?
it's funny. The one drummer whose tone I loved uh had to be on the Ted Templeman produced Van Halen albums with Alex Van Halen. I never get tired of his drum sound. I love the way his drums sound. What's so funny?
Al said Sweet Amber. Could that be the song you were talking about?
Thank you. Thank you. That's the one.
And Timeless Bassist wants to know, is there any other irritating drummers that you know of, Stan?
Wayne Noon.
Wayne Noon, definitely.
I never had a problem with his drum sound or how loud. I don't think they're that loud.
Greg, what do you think?
Saint
You
Anger, yes,
understand where
because
I'm
it's very
getting
annoying.
at, right?
Oh, let Wayne finish.
Yeah, no, fuck me. It's my show.
No, Wayne,
Fuck
finish.
Wayne.
Finish, then
Fuck
go to
Wayne.
Greg.
Go ahead
Go
and
ahead.
finish, Wayne.
I wasn't saying I'm done. Go.
Oh, okay. I've
Bad man
long
Stan.
thought they were always too far out, far ahead in the mix, strictly because of his abilities, honestly, for the most
I would
part.
think they want to hide it a little bit more, but
Yeah. Well, that's one of my biggest problems with Justice. The songs are too goddamn long, and there's not enough multi parts because they can't play them like that shortest straw shit. Who wants to hear over and over and over and over again for 12 minutes? But
I hate to agree with you.
Yeah.
You're right. It's almost
Yeah.
like repetitive for the sake of being repetitive.
that whole album is like that, except for one legitimately best song they ever wrote.
I do love Blackened in the title track and Dyer's Eve. That's it.
One could be in the Smithsonian as an example of exemplary songwriting. Though I mean,
I'll agree with you on that.
that is one prop I will totally give them. But if they shorten that stuff down a lot and change the production, it'd probably be as good as Master. Nowhere near as good as Ride, but maybe even better than Master because it uses the more commercial elements in a better way. But yeah, the production and the bloated songs are what hurt that. But he's always been too far out in front. And well, I'll be honest with you. People really hype up them first three and the sound of them a lot, but I never thought much of Fleming Rasmussen as a producer. Most of what he did was really too tinny. Ride the Lightning, even though it's my favorite, especially, I feel could have been helped out better with a fuller, richer tone overall.
if
So
it had
they
the
needed-
Master of Puppets sound, you think? What if Master of Puppets had? I mean, what if Ride the Lightning had the sound of Master of Puppets? I think because
To be
that
honest
sounds
with you, I really don't think they're too different.
they're not, but Master
uh,
of Puppets sounds a little bit more fuller to me, a little heavier.
Yeah, I do wish it did have that.
Yeah.
I think the Metallica albums would actually, at least like, even 72 seasons and the albums before that, like they suffer from the same thing. It's just the production is a little weird. Like I think, I was listening to that Cancer album
Mhm.
and production on that is great. Like it just sounds like a live recording. And imagine if Metallica took their music in that direction, just sound 100 times better.
Oh, certainly. Hell,
You know, just
honestly, I would even take a self-titled or Black Album Part Two.
yeah.
It's not really my thing, but they did it excellently.
They just need
Except
to
for
help
that,
with arranging. That's all. Like I feel like they work with a lot of these like yes men around them. You know, guys that just do what they want them to do.
I
It's like,
think that's
somebody
kind of
needs.
become the norm with them because of how Lars is, to be honest with you. And
Yeah,
you know, I know years later, technically everything is heresy because he passed so long ago. But I more so believe other people that were friendly with Cliff than I do James when they say Cliff was pretty much ready to leave the band.
maybe I don't know.
I think he was ready to broaden his horizons.
I
I
mean, he's
really
only been in the
do.
band for like 5 minutes. I mean, it's like, I don't know. When did he join? Like 80, 83, 82?
80, 82, I think.
82. Yeah, but I
Man.
mean, when you got a little Napoleon on your ass like that, 3 years can be a long fucking time.
I mean, supposedly there's the rumor that Lars was next to be fired from Metallica, and then Cliff got killed in the bus accident. R.I.P. Cliff. So the talks of firing Lars were done.
Yeah, but
That's
he
what
I
I
don't
heard.
believe that at all.
see that I don't believe because
No.
Lars trademarked the name. He did that way early on when he tricked his buddy out and naming the magazine that so he could take the name. I don't believe they could have ever fired Lars, but I do believe Burton was getting restless and wanted to broaden his horizon some. And that's also why I don't buy this bullshit argument with James. Oh, if he had lived and we were to continue with him, this never would have happened. Maybe it wouldn't have happened in that way, Load, for example, but I do think they would have been quite different. It would have still been metal, but Cliff was great. However, he had nowhere near hitting his full potential, and I think he was growing as a musician. And I don't think Metallica as a whole could have moved in that direction. Not just Lars, but Kirk. And as good of a rhythm guitar player as James is, none of their ideas really sound like they fit in with where it sounded like Cliff was going to me.
Hmm.
I could be wrong. Like I said, it's all technically hearsay, but
I mean, what I
Never know.
what I love about Ride and Master is just the fact that I think the songs on those albums, they set certain moods, or they paint certain pictures in your head, which is why I still say to this day that those two albums still work for me after all this time. And
I do
Whiplash
too.
is one of the songs off Kill 'Em All that I'm learning for
Hmm.
this set list. And you know, I didn't realize how simple it was,
You
but
didn't
it's a
realize how
it
simple it was, really.
it's effective. I'll say that.
Well, a lot of it's effective, but well, dude, I've said it numerous times. My biggest problem with Master is the fans and the way it's built up. Greatest metal album of all time, my ass. It
It's
wouldn't even make
not.
the top 20. Um, but the title track, uh, hell, Disposable Heroes, that's another one. Not particularly complicated tunes, but set a great mood and multi-parted enough where it really does take you on a journey.
That's what I like about it.
Yeah. Now, Sanitarium, I don't think so as much as people rave about that, and it's not even because it's basically a radio song. It's just it's clunky. It doesn't connect together well. I hear what they were trying to do, but
Fair enough.
well, and that's another problem I have with that. They struck gold with Ride, and not that every band needs to change completely with the follow up, but they didn't build on what they did with Ride almost at all. It felt too much like trying to do a repeat to me on quite a few of those tunes. And that's the only reason I don't hold it on the same level as Ride.
I think it's a fair assessment.
Mm.
I like
And
how. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
as much as people can say, "Oh, it had to have been Dave's riff," blah 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 blah. Leper Messiah is not that great of a song.
I agree. I can't stand that song. I put it up on the same pedestal as Excitable from Def Leppard. It stinks. To quote Jay Sherman from The Critic.
It really does. I feel like everybody only talks it up because the riff, the main riff, kind of sounds a little bit like Dave Mustaine. And ooh, they doing Dave's riff, and ooh, they're still trying to copy him 3 years later. I don't think that was it at all. Let's just admit it's a bad song and move on.
Give Dave a lot more credit as a songwriter than to have written Leper Messiah.
I know, right?
Wayne, any word?
Well, I was trying to talk about Load, but
Oh.
we completely went off the rails as usual.
Lord, I give it an 8 out of 10.
An 8 out of wow, that much, huh?
I like the song, a lot of the songs on it.
That's a lot of
too.
load.
I do too. That is a lot of load. I think it's good. I did not like it though when it first came out and saw them wearing all the makeup and shit. That was kind of weird. And
Oh, I forgot all
and then the
about
kissing
that.
with the
all right, well,
Kirk and Loris kissing all the time and nail polish.
That's something
Like, what happened here?
That's something I choose to
We got the
forget.
Black Album, then we got Live Ship, Binge and Purge, and all of a sudden they're back. They cut all their hair, they got makeup, and they're kissing. Who is this?
See, it didn't bother me that they.
Time is Load.
No, it was before.
It didn't bother me that they cut their hair. I didn't understand the big deal.
I didn't care about the hair either. I didn't give a shit about the hair. It was just funny, you know. Because
I mean,
people were making a big deal because they were like, "Oh, Metal's dead now" because now they cut their hair. Who cares?
I mean, Jason was the first one to shave his head off.
Yeah.
So did that make him any less credible? No.
He shaved his whole head off?
I remember. Yeah, I think crew cut at least.
Yeah, you got one of them old style reel mowers out.
Yeah, no, I remember him cutting his hair, and yeah, he was the first one to do it. So I don't know. The hair doesn't bother me because there was other metal bands that had no hair too. You know, like that didn't matter. But it's the makeup and just the way they were acting. It was just strange. It wasn't Metallica. It was just like
it didn't even fit the music that they were
it didn't
writing.
fit the music either.
Okay, well, remember the time that the 90s were.
I know.
You know, it was a very weird time.
If they came out with Load now and they put the makeup on and they were kissing, would it work today?
No. No, because then they would be accused of appropriating LGBTQ culture.
Yeah, probably. Probably.
And if that offends anyone, I don't care.
Yeah, I don't care.
But seriously, overall, it wasn't great, but I'd give it a 6 out of 10, about average. You trimmed most of this, a lot of the crap off of it. I think it'd be pretty decent for what it is.
Yeah. I'm surprised you ranked it that high. I agree.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised
5 out of
at
10.
that too.
5 out of 10, right in the
that
middle.
That sounds more like you.
Yeah. I feel like 6 is slightly above average.
It really is for you. Yes.
Above. Yeah.
It's shocking. But I agree with Lou. There's some good songs. Go ahead.
No, that's what I was going to say. But there is a couple of legitimately good tunes on it. It's just the execution is kind of strange, and it really gets held down by being bloated.
Yeah.
I mean, them abandoning their traditional sound didn't bother me because by that point, you know, I had discovered Fear Factory and Type O. So I was like, okay, Metallica could do what they want. They're Metallica. They've done what they could to try to push metal in the mainstream, which at the time was important to me. But looking back, I could tell you it's not as important to me now as it was then. Because, you know, no matter what, my love for the music, regardless of its popularity or not, wouldn't have changed. The thing that I didn't understand was them trying to like be accepted as alternative. I was sad that they turned their back on the genre on the fans that took them to the dance in the first place. That was kind of heartbreaking.
They've always seemed very fickle to me, honestly. Outside of the 80s when they were, which I think was mostly due to the booze, and they were all about true metal, but I don't know. Except for Jason, kind of seemed fair weather. But then again, I don't really get into metal elitism either. But
it's weird though, because I always see Kirk praising all these other metal bands. Even James too. He still praises the old school metal bands. Lars too, to a point. He remembers all the bands that you know that they got their inspirations from and everything. It's just weird, like seeing where they went. Like they went to the alternative route and stuff like that. So I don't know. It's just strange. And now they're back to doing
I
their
don't really see
stuff.
it weird when you consider who their biggest influences were, and then how some of these bands changed on their albums over time. I think they were kind of following what their idols did, to be honest with you.
Maybe. I guess.
I just don't think they could quite pull it off.
Yeah.
Yes,
it's a tough thing to do. You know, once like Lou mentioned, you know, you can't make the same album over and over again. You do have to change at some point. You know.
Oh yes, certainly. Yeah, and quite honestly, my favorite member out of all of them would probably be James, and I've always wanted to hear him get involved with a different band. Just because I think his abilities are beyond what they do, and I really think he could do some cool stuff in not necessarily a different genre, but different types of metal, different types of rock. And
well, he doesn't believe in side projects or anything.
None of them do.
I've heard his collaborations with Government Mule, Warren Haynes' band, and with COC, and I heard what he did with Matt and Trey on the South Park Bigger, Better Uncut.
Oh, I forgot
soundtrack.
about that. Yeah.
So, you know, you put James with other people, and I think he comes out with some really good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'd have to agree with Greg. You know, he's probably my favorite member too. And it's like, I don't know. There's just something. I feel like there's something real about him. You know, he's like the hard rock metal equivalent of Johnny Cash to me. There's an authenticity there about him that I could appreciate and respect.
Certainly.
Yeah.
And with that, it's getting a little late.
It is getting a little late. But yeah, I'm interested to hear what some of these unheard songs are from this Load box set when I get it. I can't wait to dig into that. And the other thing is too,
dig into Volume 4 Super Deluxe.
I will get to that one next week.
I can't wait to talk about that on next week.
Yeah.
The other one thing I didn't mention about this box set, there is a longer version, an extended version of the song Outlaw Torn.
I've heard it already. It's just basically it ends.
It doesn't need to be any longer. It's already like 18 minutes.
Well, well, they faded it out for the album because it wouldn't have fit the 78-minute mark.
Yeah. So it's extra 2 minutes.
It doesn't go anywhere.
There was no need for it to be on there. So
but live, when they performed that with the symphony orchestra, that was great, and I got to see that live. That was great.
I'm happy for you.
Thank you.
I went, but I also ate shrooms that night. What I remember was good, but I don't remember all of it.
You know, I realized when I hold my beard like this, I look like Groucho Marx.
No, you look like somebody else. I can't think of who.
Say the secret word.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Now I see it. Yep. All right. I guess that's it. Anything else from you, Stan?
No.
Great.
No, nothing.
What's your response to that guy last week who said that, you know, he couldn't appreciate your hate for Skeletor?
Who couldn't appreciate my hate?
He's like, you know, all Stan says is, I don't like it, skip it. I don't like it, skip it.
Who was this? I didn't see this.
It was on the YouTube. You wrote back to him.
Oh, he did write back to him, right?
Yeah, he did write back.
Okay. Well, he said that you know, it's kind of hard to take it seriously when one of the guys is a straight up hater or something like that.
I didn't think you were hating on it. You just said you weren't a fan of it.
I'm like, did he just like, you know, did he watch the whole thing? Because like I wasn't totally hating on it. It's just, you know,
Greg
it's like
totally hated on it.
it's like I said in the chat. you know, Ghost is known for, you know, kind of like mixing the ABBA melodies with the culty, you know, riffs and everything
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that.
yeah.
And they did not have that on this new album. What makes
Oh
no?
Oh god, Catman really wants us to do a Venom album one day.
We can.
Dude, totally. I wanted to do that for a long time.
At War with Satan and Warhead EP. We can do that one, Nick. We can.
You guys
Those
heard?
outfits they were wearing were great.
You guys heard of the Henry Rollins Cronus incident at City Gardens in Trenton, New Jersey, right?
No, but tell it.
No.
Apparently, Henry Rollins was like, Black Flag opened up for Venom. Ironic, I know, a hardcore band opening for a first wave black metal band.
Mhm.
And Cronus goes on and is, let's bow down to Satan. And apparently he said the entire audience was laughing at him and he couldn't take it.
I mean, that's just childish.
Yeah.
It
Nobody
is.
take that shit seriously. I mean, it's like, come on, dude. Like, well, what are you like 65 now? You know? Like,
I mean, I like
yeah,
that.
but I mean, as a performing artist, at least Wayne and Lou, you know, you both played live before. You want people to get into your shows. I could see how that would be upsetting if literally the whole audience was laughing at you. If you're looking at it from that perspective.
I mean, I have the perfect solution for bands that play that genre. Rather than have the audience laugh at you, put on the show, play the music, don't talk, just say thank you at the end.
there you go.
Because I remember seeing a show at the Voodoo Lounge. It was supposed to be Immolation, Incantation, and Goat Horror with a local band, Utopia Banished, opening for them. And the guy was yelling at the guy from Utopia Banished was cursing up a storm to the audience, saying, "You fuckers don't know the power of Satan." And the sound guy had enough. He's like, "All right, we're gonna close the sound on these guys tonight. They're done for the night. No, put my mic back on." It's like, okay, I can't take you seriously.
No, but that's part of the experience of Venom is the obnoxiousness that went along with it. Like it needs that.
I get that. Unfortunately, some metal fans they can't appreciate the tongue in cheekiness of it.
No, because they're lame.
That's true. That's true. I'm not going to disagree with Greg on that.
All right, before we go, and I always forget to mention this, but if you're in the chat here on the YouTube, right to the left of the chat, there's a thing that says show your support for Rat Salad Review. If you click on that, there's all these different types of things you can get, like super stickers, super chat, membership, all the stuff. Super stickers you can buy, some of them like $2.99, just to help us out a little bit. So if you ever want to help us out, buy some stickers, hit that little button down there. And I think even like with the super chat thing, you can pay whatever you want, and then your little chat gets highlighted, and then I talk about everybody's thing that they write up here. But
Wayne needs to eat this week.
I do need to eat this week. I lost a lot of
Hell,
money.
you can even donate something and make me listen to something I'm gonna hate, and I'll do it.
That will definitely.
Seriously, if you guys donate,
Bananarama, I'm game. Donate.
Yeah, the more people that donate, donate and help the show out, we will definitely. You want to suggest us to do an album, we will definitely do it for you. Some people I'm going to let slide because they're here every week, but
don't say Greg Kin Band because Greg will willingly listen to that.
Yes, I like the Greg Kin Band.
And hello, Alexander from South America. Welcome to the show. But unfortunately, this is the end of the show, so you'll have to go back and rewatch the whole thing.
Hola, Alejandro, ¿cómo está, amigo?
And one more time before we leave, Lou, where's your show? I know it's coming on the 17th.
I gotta hop off, guys.
All right.
Take care, Greg.
Later, Greg.
Thanks. So I'm doing Decay and Decadence number 12 on May 17th in West Babylon at Whiskey Rocks. And it's me with a bunch of my friends from the local Long Island metal and hard rock scene. I'm proud to say that this year I'll actually be performing Metallica's Whiplash, Testament's Over the Wall, Chevelle's The Red, Bad Brains Soulcraft. Sorry, I know you hate this band, Wayne. Molly Cruz, Home Sweet Home. Although I do like Home Sweet Home. Tools, Anima, and man, there's one more song. I forgot what it was. but regardless, so yeah, so I'll be doing those songs, and there's gonna be 33 songs played. Come down, say hello, buy me a Jack and Coke, and and that's it. And hopefully
Just
I'll
bring him
be
some Coke. What?
no, don't do that. And I'll hopefully have some Severed Angel merch for people to buy at a discounted rate, because we still have a lot of overhead that we need to get rid of.
Yes, and including this album, I'll give you like 1 or 2 copies of this. Maybe you can sell it. We only got 3 left.
Only
in my
3
possession.
left.
Only 3 left in my possession. The other ones you have to buy on nolifetillmetarecords.com, which you can see here in the little spine thing there. But if you go to severedangel.bandcamp.com, you can get this copy of our latest album, When Eternity Ends. You can buy all the other albums because there's a bunch of Skyward left, but there's not many of the debut, and I don't have many of these. So severedangel.bandcamp.com. Go get that now. You can also get an autographed card of everybody. I throw in some stickers in your envelope, and I can also give you a copy for free of my other band, Project Resurrect. So
Great
if you
album.
order anything, you get that for free and a bunch of little cool things. So
Value.
The other song was Light Up the Sky by Van Halen. So 7 songs in total, and hopefully nobody will cancel at the last second, because I'm the ringer, if that's the case.
Very cool. Very cool. I hope people show up, and I hope you have fun.
Thank you. I'm looking forward to next week, where we'll be discussing Volume 4, which is my second favorite Ozzy era Sabbath album.
Nice.
I'm gonna listen to that. So it's one of the Sabbath albums I really haven't listened to much. So I will definitely listen to that. That's it. So until then, goodbye.
Take care of yourself and each other.
Later, guys.